not the film industry per se, but how about the entertainment industry? I've had a couple of ideas that have gotten traction with TV networks that have gone well down the road, um, that didn't work out in the end. And the first time that happens, your heart breaks, especially if you don't know the realities. You think, oh my God, they're about to sign this deal and we're going to get this show going and it's going to be amazing. And then they just pull the rug right out from underneath you and you feel really horrible. Then the second time it happens, you feel a little less horrible because you're used to it. And then you start to steel yourself and you know that you're not going to get too excited about anything until it's actually real. And I even shot a pilot for a network for a show that ended up not being greenlighted. And it sucks for everybody involved. Everybody. It's terrible. It's a really awful feeling. And the thing is, you sort of know that it's happening when it's happening. It's kind of like a slow motion car accident. Like when it starts to take a little bit longer to get responses from people and nobody is saying no, but things are not moving in the direction that they're supposed to, you sort of get the sinking feeling that things are not going well. And then, of course, at the end, they just yank the plug ruthlessly, and they move on. And you have to move on because you have no other choice. You just have to get up and keep moving forward. But those are some pretty tough things. Some other not great things that can happen to a film and have happened to a couple of my films. I've had a distributor go belly up and not tell us that they were gone, and and then our film turns into this thing that's in limbo. So I made a film called Tree Man, which is about the people who come to New York City to sell Christmas trees every year. And we sold the rights to a distributor who promised us that they would get it on Netflix. And they did. They got it on Netflix. I mean, it was amazing. The film was on Netflix for 3 years. And then when the 3 years were coming to an end, I reached out to the distributor to see what was going on. And my emails got bounced back to me from every email address that I had for anybody working at this distribution company. And I went online. I couldn't get any information. I finally, through LinkedIn, I think, reached out to somebody who I had dealt with and found out that the company went bankrupt. And they said, well, didn't you get an email about this? I said, no, nobody ever told us anything. So the company goes bankrupt, and the only thing that they have is their library of titles. That's the only thing of value that they have. So that's what they try to sell off to try to make their investors a little bit less unhappy. So this company took all of its titles and sold it to another company, but without telling us. And of course, in the distribution deal, they have the right to assign the contract to whomever they want. And you can argue that that's not a great contract that we signed. That's standard, and no company is going to buy your film or buy the rights to your film without securing rights for themselves. So I'm not upset about the deal that we made because, one, it paid us, which a lot of deals don't do. And two, it got our film on Netflix, which again was a huge deal as far as I'm concerned. But then the film just went into limbo and we can't get it. We can't get the rights back to it. And it's not out there. And that to me is a huge bummer. Like, you make this film, and again, it goes back to that story about, writing a script and you don't want it to sit in a drawer somewhere. So you made a film, it was out on Netflix, people watched it. We still get fan mail about it because people come to New York City and they want to meet our main character, who's a Christmas tree salesman on 102nd and Broadway, and they can't see the film anymore. So we're kind of stuck. And our lawyer is like, well, it's not a great deal. There's nothing we can do. I'm like, I don't accept that as an answer. Like, it was a good deal, and there is something we can do. We can fight to get it back, but fighting to get it back costs money. And not everybody has deep pockets to do this.
I assume you have you have the film, but you're saying that if you tried to distribute it a different way, so they'd sue you?
Well, they potentially they could.
Yeah.
Potentially they could because legally they have the rights. You're right. We have the actual film, but they have the rights to the film.
No.
And that happened with another film of mine um, that the distributor stopped returning my emails. Like he just didn't respond to me. And finally, I got a lawyer, and he said, "Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to write him a letter, and I'm going to tell him that he is in breach of his contract because he hasn't given you any accounting, he hasn't done anything for the film, and you've reached out to him several times, and nothing has happened." So he wrote the letter. No response. Again, he sent a physical letter to the address on the website and it came back to him. So he sent emails to whatever email addresses we had. And after the second letter with no response, the attorney came back to me and said, "As far as I'm concerned, these rights have reverted back to you. And if he wants to fight you, then let him fight you." And I gave it to another distributor. Now, at least that title is available on a streaming platform, and nobody has ever come after me.